And let's also welcome, after I believe a long while that we last saw her on Good Morning Nigeria, the Honorable Minister of State for the Federal Capital Territory, Hajiya Dr. Ramatu Tijani Aliyu. Pleasure to have you again on Good Morning Nigeria.
Happy New Year as well. Good morning, viewers.
All right, let's go to the Minister of State, FCT. What are the other takeaways, from this all-important conference?
Good morning, viewers. The conference was actually a welcome idea, and it couldn't have come at a better time than now, where we all converged, experienced women brainstormed for the first time in the history of our political party, and we must appreciate the efforts of the women rep and all leaders of the party across board. And when we all gathered, there was freedom, there was unity, there was cohesion. Breakout sessions, were formed, and discussions were made, and decisions were reached. And in conclusion, we realized that, like never before, that funding has also been an integral part of Nigerian polity and anywhere else, which has also been the problem with female aspirants and candidates in the country, especially coasting to victory and the final pushes. So there was a communique at the end of them. We also agreed on institutional framework, reviewing the constitution. Yes, the constitution of the party had been reviewed, and many of the issues actually discussed and submitted. But this is a final push that the group came together and agreed that we should reiterate the inclusion of all the decisions taken at the conference. And what are the decisions? To expand the composition, or to include women in the NWC, more women in the National Working Committee, more women in the neck of the party, more women at the caucuses at various levels. Now, if we look at the Constitution, and most of the times the emergence in the National Working Committee, since it's by election, we only end up with one woman, and that is the woman leader. Only a few times, like under the defunct ACN, which is also part of the amalgamated parties, we had the national vice chairman being a woman, Hafsat Baba. Again, you have Hafsat Baba being the woman leader, the national vice chairman, a woman from ACN. AMPP also had the vice chairman, in my person. Since then, we've not gone back to, more. Then we agitated and had treasurer again coming in Fatima Mohammed, financial secretary. But beyond that, women need to really be included in the National Working Committee. In most of the time, we call for the twinning system, just like in the case of the Rwanda. But again, in case of Nigeria, and when we push for the twinning as we want it integrated, and it should be domesticated and taken to the convention for ratification, to ensure that at each level, where we have the essence, that's the twinning, where you have, for instance, the male emerge leading a particular parastatal or agency or the party or at whatever level of governance, then the opposite gender, that is the woman, comes to deputize. But most of the time we also found that decision in a way, and that is why we want it enshrined in the Constitution. Women now remain at the deputy, position. Yes, twinning, but it does not mean that the woman is restricted to only deputizing. Because most of the time, like in the NWC, not because many deputies did not emerge. They do emerge, but deputies don't make it to the, meetings or at the NWC levels. And most of the time we found the roles, except if also it will be redefined that the perception of deputies as just stepping in absentia. So most of the time, if you are not given this space, the function is abysmal. So we pushed for that too, and we also pushed for ensuring that the 35% affirmative action is enshrined also in the Constitution, and this time around ratified at the convention to ensure implementation. It's been there, but it's been silent. So when we have the basic issue of implementation, perhaps re-emphasize it now will make it, in the front burner. But this is just the beginning, because the 2 days conference also birthed so many beautiful things, like the Women Aspirant Forum. This Women Aspirant Forum is also to take care of the young and upcoming, politicians. Mentoring also came up. There will be mentoring committee within the party level. This will also look and cater for them, boost their courage, give them the impetus and the audacity to speak up when they feel they do have what to offer. Also, we agreed, and like never before, we saw within ourselves and all the leaders that converged for once, that we are actually ready. There is supposed to be the unveiling also of the Women Trust Fund that beautifully put together by the Women Rep. And the Trust Fund will go a long way. So we called also for the constitutional backing to enable its stand, to enable contributions into the fund. And this fund will now be able to devolve resources to support competent, quality aspirants identified or candidates identified. Candidates, so that it does not become a jamboree. Once they secure the ticket, we know, yes, this is a material. She will be funded to every level through the trust fund.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of State, Federal Capital Territory. Now,
Okay, ladies, as a matter of fact, I'm beginning to have a better understanding, of where you're coming from, because if you consider the population that make up political parties in Nigeria, women are more in number. No doubt about that. As a matter of fact, from the local government level to the national level. But I'm considering, the real mechanics of politics and politicking. One has to go for campaigns and all of that. Now, are you saying here that you want women to say, okay, maybe at the National Assembly, there must be, if you have 109 members of the Senate, for instance, you say, okay, women should be up to maybe 50 in number. Now, if that happens, how do you get these 50 women who should come from different political parties, not just the APC, for instance? Yeah. Right. So my question really is, what you are doing at the moment, how would it, trickle down, or rather be domesticated in all parties across Nigeria? Because if APC achieves that, you have not really, achieved the major objective for which this conference was held. So how would other parties now imbibe what you are saying? Because when you say women, you're talking about Nigerian women, not just APC women.
Okay, let's come in there. Clearly, the convergence of women in International Conference Center during this conference brainstormed beyond the party. And that is what I call taking responsibility. Though as the party in leadership, a decision by the APC to enshrine and to adopt for ratification during the convention all these decisions taken in conclusion and brought up as a communique. We go a long way. The moment it is domesticated, then the rule is binding. It goes down to all levels within the party. This will birth a call for a National Women's Conference, irrespective of all, political parties. We converge again to discuss the way forward for one for all for one. A country, certainly, that is engendered is a country endangered. We are all in this together. We can hear, we feel the pulse, and I know they are waiting. This is not about party, it's about us. It's about quality representation. And within us too, we are realizing that The moment a woman emerges as a candidate, she faces the male counterpart. So if your party brings her up, definitely the opponent in another party is not necessarily a woman, because that will also be unconstitutional. Now, looking at that, we are going and we are agreeing to go for the quality ones amongst us, identified, the pressure group, the lobby group. We, of course, be able to go across all strata to stand in for identified quality materials to ensure that they emerge. But reviewing the constitutions is mandatory. If you look at it, from the delegates that will go for either congresses or conventions, already women lose from that position, because majority of the delegates will not be within the reach of the woman. Majority are not even the women. So in that place, we are, for instance, the governors control the delegates. Then definitely they will decide who emerges or do not emerge. But to have it enshrined in the constitution, particularly to say, just like in the post-genocide Rwanda, to say, okay, for every result that will be turned down from a constituency, irrespective of parties, the same ballot paper. We will also be able to look at ourselves after that, convergence of women. We will not let out the cat. We will be able to identify, irrespective of political party, for whatever party that prioritizes emergence of a woman and we see quality in her, we will all go there for the first time. Because if this does not happen, to be like a revolution, we have the numerical strength, but we become the press singers. And if you look at it at the same time, we appreciate that power is not served a la carte. So we have the mentoring group. The mentoring committee, we groom. We speak to them, we catch them young. We also identify, because we have realized that we are yet to form the critical mass, even in the National Assembly, both Senate and Rep. These are places where the critical decisions are taken to push the bills for ratification or domestication of most of what we are calling for. The same thing at the party level, and that's why we are doing within our reach now to ensure, and we know our father, the president, listens. He also supports women. We hope this time around that we are speaking in one voice, but critically, for what and my experience within and having been a national women leader and in more than 2.5 decades of politics and particularly party leadership, we realize also we've been our own albatrosses. So we are thinking, we are introspecting. We are also speaking to ourselves and the mothers, the wives of the governors. We talk to ourselves to look beyond sentiments too, to identify quality. Because the moment what used to play before, I was a woman leader and I was the national vice chairman of a party. And interestingly, across African continent, I am the sitting president of the Council of African Political Parties. So I've mediated within countries in Africa, and we've seen that the problem actually sometimes bounces back to us. Because so long as a man wants to assist, and then we come in with petty issues, like trying to enforce or who we do not want to see, and making mediocrity take center stage, then we create an opportunity or avenue for the male folk to step in again, because no party wants to fail. So we are taking cognizance of that. And besides the lobby, awareness will be there. We'll also liaise and support our women rep and whichever woman emerges after the convention. And even if it is she, whosoever we find and wherever we find a woman, rally around her if it's a material, irrespective of party. So when parties know that this time around women are resolved to do that, I think every party will actually like the emergence of a woman. For the first time, I am one person, if you know by history, I've never cross-carpeted. I've remained a one-party system until the amalgamation of the political parties and the emergence of the APC. But for the first time, we are thinking as mothers, the right thing be done, and the truth be told. We must support ourselves. So we are in for whichever party, in as much as we know it will be our party. The stage is set, and I know our party especially with the caretaker chairman. That is also another gender-sensitive one. Many governors and the vice president did not also leave us in it, and they are waiting to receive this document that was well articulated by women of intellect. Across party, we do have strong women like Itagiwa, Grace Bent, Benani, all that decamped into the party. So we know it's not charade. It's beyond what we are thinking. We think it's a movement that later all Nigerian women will come to buy, to stand as one. Okay. Maybe we're getting there. And I know certainly.
Thank you very much, Hajia Ramatu, for that optimistic proposition.
Yeah. Honorable Minister of State, FCT, I want to speak on two key things in the next 1 minute. Funding. You said you're going to have a forum for funding and again a lobby group. What is the mechanism for it?
Good. The lobby group, first of all, the composition of women, the cream de la cream, women who know their onions, women who are well connected, well networked, with also the financial capacity, and with the grandstanding to even get support from banks and institutions to support candidates and members of this lobby and pressure group. Then if you also talk of the APC, progressive, that's the Progressive Women's Trust Fund. Here again, if women today, we own structures, we own companies, we're going to lobby beyond even the partisan women, to look into and to reach out to women like Alakija and so many of them, even to the developed clients, to see how we get money into the coffers of the trust fund. And I know, as resolved as we are, and my conviction is today, for this conference to be able to hold, it's been a bit difficult, and actually no person can go it alone. But that to say women were called, since inception, there hasn't been a single, party meeting together. But for one call, and women crossed, came, united, rallied around the women rep. Not even saying, no, she's younger or new among us, we're not going to follow, as usual, to come with placards and fight ourselves. No, everybody rallied around. She became a fulcrum and then reeled out ideas that birthed the decisions and the communique. I think it will go a long way, and we are all resolved already as progressive women that it's not stopping here. If you look at what we submitted, it's going to be a working document. If Mr. President, that we know, that supports gender and inclusion, definitely we will lift the bar and we will welcome into this fold many other women from other political parties and get them to understand that it's not, and I know they do understand, they are following this game. It's not about our party anymore. We are the giant of Africa and they listen to us each time, but we are now ashamed when we move out to say just Rwanda here. We come with certificate of inclusion. We have Liberia speaking. I went to Kenya. I saw the governor of Nairobi being a woman. You went out, come on. And then how comfortable would our men even pride themselves now to say you are advocates and champions of gender? Ordinarily, really. We will massage their egos, we will lobby, and then we'll come clear with our contents to ensure that those we are bringing forward, even the institutions, will be ready. Financial institutions and individuals will be ready to invest in those women.
I just wonder, you're saying this for the second time, Honorable Minister.
Yes.
I'm not going to ask this question, but I'll just make a rhetorical comment. You said you get financial institutions and maybe corporate organizations to pitch into your trust fund. You're asking for donations by corporate entities for partisan causes. I'm sure that you will have some issues with that on the basis of the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. But I'm sure that these are matters, of course, that will be clarified going forward. You have deep pockets who are individuals, but for corporate entities, you might have some issues with that.
For corporate entities, if they identify capacity, they are not donating to the party, but they are donating to strengthen the capacity of a woman. Fantastic. So in that context, yes.
It might be that that would be a different issue. That's why I said partisan political causes.
No, not partisan.
Honorable Minister of State, FCT, Dr. Ramatu Tijani Aliyu. She's also a good old lady in politics in Nigeria. We thank you for being here this morning. I hope you sustain the tempo.